Good morning. Says I'm live. Let me scoot a few things around here. There and there. All righty. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for October 15th. October 15th is the 288th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 289th in leap years, with 77 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is dovecote or dovecot. Dovecote. It can also be spelled without the last E, and it's pronounced dovecote or dovecot. This is a noun that means a structure with holes for housing domestic pigeons, like a birdhouse for pigeons, or a settled group, especially one of a quiet, conservative nature. One of the example sentences I saw in using this word was, I leaned back in the chair, fighting the urge to smile like a tomcat in a dovecote. This was a quote from a book called The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I've included an Amazon link in the show notes to that book if you'd like to take a look at it. The word dovecote comes to us from a couple of Old English words, doof, which means dove, and cote, which means shelter. Earliest documented use, 1425. Interesting to note that there's an old expression, a flutter in the dovecote, which means a disturbance in a settled community or a settled group, settled conservative group. All righty. Well, now, every day when I introduce these episodes, I mention the Gregorian calendar. And we've talked about the Gregorian calendar before. To recap, back in the days before calendars were invented, people most likely tracked the passing of time by following the movement of the sun and the moon. In 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a 365-day, 12-month calendar with an extra day in February every 4 years, which we now call the Julian calendar. Considering that this was 46 BC, I'm impressed at what a remarkable job they did at calculating the days around the sun, creating this calendar. In the 1500s, Pope Gregory noticed an error in timing, slight error, almost imperceptible. When I tell you about it, you'll think, how did they even know that? He issued a papal bull to order a corrected calendar. And it is that the Julian calendar counted the year just a hair too long. Instead of the 365.25 days, as noted in the Julian calendar, the year is actually more like 365.2425. This difference seems inconsequential to us, I guess, but over the years, that tiny hair of a difference can become increasingly out of alignment with the Earth's orbit. And so it is that on October 15th, 1582, adoption of the Gregorian calendar began. The Gregorian calendar has come into near universal adoption since then, and that's why I begin each episode by telling you what day it is in the Gregorian calendar. Margareta Zell, affectionately called Magritte by her family of origin, grew up to be an exotic dancer. She was Dutch. She was born in 1876. She was sultry and seductive and didn't mind dancing with not much clothing on. She made up an interesting story about her persona as a dancer, calling herself by the stage name of Mata Hari. Now, we've talked about Mata Hari before, but I'm not going to make you go look up those episodes. I'll just tell you that she was very popular as a dancer, as a performer, and very popular with men, and she got around. Now, this was in the time around the First World War in the 19 teens. A Dutch citizen, she was a citizen of a neutral company, that too, I guess. She was a citizen of a neutral country as World War I fired off, and that made it a little bit less difficult for her to travel most places that she might want to go. but she caught the attention of the French authorities, and they prevailed upon her to act as a spy for them. It was like, okay, we'll let you in, but you've got to be a spy. So she was up for it, but unfortunately, she was maybe not really that good at it. She was able to get some information, but it was either information the French authorities already knew or wasn't very helpful to them. And then some things happened that caused them to believe, hey, wait a minute, she's spying for the other side. And she wasn't, but they tried and convicted her for espionage. And so it is that Magritte Zell, better known as Mata Hari, was executed for the crime of espionage by a French firing squad on October 15th, 1917. This is the birthday of American singer-songwriter Richard Carpenter, born October 15th, 1946. He's the brother of the late Karen Carpenter. Still alive, Richard turns 75 in 2021. We have a mosquito in the house. So exasperating. I mentioned this in last year's video, but it was kind of interesting to me, and I can't help but mention it again. And that is that Fortran, the first modern computer language, was first shared with the coding community on October 15th, 1956. This was a code that used cards with holes punched in them in rows and columns. I remember seeing them as a much younger person, seeing these cards, and my late sister-in-law, in fact, worked at a place that used those cards. The name Fortran is an acronym that means Formula Translating System, or Formula Translator, or Formula Translation, Fortran. Alrighty, that is all I have for you today. This day in history, October 15th. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe and share it with all your friends. And I guess that's it. Now we're going to look for the thank you very much button. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching.